Hello, and welcome back to our masterclass on temperaments. Today we'll be discussing the sanguine in control. Once again, I'm here with my wife, Dr. Amy. Dr. Amy, the sanguine in control. Do these people want control?
This is a very interesting temperament.
Okay, why is that?
So there are very few people, less than 2% of the population are actually sanguine in control.
Wow.
I've only worked with one client ever that was this temperament.
Really?
And it can be very confusing, so hang in there with me as I try to explain this. So first I want to go to the sheet where we look at the express and wanted needs, and again you can see that they're in close relation to each other. So they want a lot of control and they also express a lot of control. There is a caveat here though. This temperament will swing from one extreme all the way to the other.
Okay.
They can handle a lot of responsibility and they can be extremely efficient and driven, and then they swing like a pendulum and they go into a very dependent personality. This can be extremely confusing for the client as well as everybody else around them. So I want you to picture like you're working with somebody who is just nailing it at work. They are phenomenal at their job.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they show up to work one week and it's like they've never done the job before.
What happened?
It's part of their temperament. So there is another temperament that we're going to talk about later on called the choleric in control. And that is a very driven personality where the choleric is designed to just go nonstop and they are very prone to burnout.
Yeah.
The sanguine has a built-in safety valve that allows them from hitting burnout.
Yeah.
And it's this pendulum swing. So they can be driven. And then right before they hit burnout, they swing into this completely dependent mode.
Is it emotional? Is it like depression or what?
No, it is the way that they are designed. There is nothing that they can do to prevent it. They have to expect it. So jobs that would be really great for somebody who is sanguine in control would be having a flexible schedule. They can run their own business and having really good support to work with them. If they had a partnership and they were able to help their partner know that they are going to be very driven most of the time, but when they need that break, they have to take the break.
Right.
They will come back stronger and more efficient. One thing that does cause the swing to happen is a lack of recognition.
Oh, wow. All right.
Sanguines live and breathe for approval from other people.
Okay.
They are the people. And so as long as you keep them fueled with recognition and praise, they're going to perform well. However, no matter how much praise you give them, they are still going to have to pull back.
All right.
So it's this Jekyll and Hyde type of personality. And the one person that I did actually work with that had this temperament this was so eye-opening to her. She had lost so many jobs because people get frustrated with her. It's not that you don't know the job.
Wow.
It looks like you are just choosing not to do this.
Yeah.
So when the sanguine moves into that dependent mode, they can be selfish. They can be very self-indulgent.
Okay. Yeah.
And once you understand yourself, and if you're able to communicate with your partner, or your boss, or whoever you're working with, of, okay, I need a mental health day,
Right.
and being able to take that, or
Okay.
I'm going to work from home this week, and it just knowing that this swing comes occasionally and being really proactive about it.
Wow. All right, so if I'm married to sanguine in control and they just hit this wall, don't try and fix them?
No.
Okay. What can I do for them during this time?
Try to absorb some of the responsibility for them and let them know how much they're loved. They will bounce back. And the more that they feel loved and recognized for everything that they do, the faster that they'll swing back. So,
is there an average of days? How many, how long is this thing going to last?
it's not usually very long.
Okay.
A sanguine, you can't keep a sanguine down. So we talked about the melancholy the other day, and like, here's the phlegmatic, just that average mood.
Okay.
This melancholy and supines, tend to revert down here a little
Okay.
bit. The sanguine and the choleric have a very high esteem, and they're very optimistic. And if they do drop down, it's not going to be for very long. They instantly like bounce back.
They'll find somebody to hang with, somebody to talk to, somebody's going to perk them up.
Yeah, they just, life is too short to be upset. So they are just generally bouncy and happy, and they're the ones that are very inspiring to be around. They motivate a lot of people. They're great with people. So
if I'm a sanguine in control,
Yes.
right, and I feel myself kind of spiraling or wanting some time away, right, take it and don't try to surround myself with others?
no, it's not that you don't want to be around others. It's the amount of responsibility that you can handle.
Okay.
So
All right.
they can take on a great deal of responsibility and leadership, but then there's just that point where you start feeling yourself saying, I don't know, I can't make any decisions, I need help. I just or you're wanting to just get away from work and go shopping. Shopping is one of the characteristics of the sanguine. And so it's like when you catch yourself, you have to know your habits, and when you start catching yourself falling into the weaknesses, just I think communication is what is required.
Very cool. Very cool. Other concerns that we need to think about when it comes to the sanguine in control?
Nope, I think it's just knowing that there is a pendulum, knowing that it's going to swing occasionally, and just having an exit strategy of what's the fastest way for me to get out of this dependent mode. The sanguine does not feel good when they are in that dependent mode.
Yeah.
They would rather be out there on the go, having fun, taking on responsibility. When they are high functioning at work or in their surroundings, then they're getting a lot of praise and recognition, and people are just in awe of them. So they want to get back to that as quickly as possible.
Sounds great. Anything else?
I think that's about it. So again, the sanguine in control is a very rare trait to have, but if you have it, just understanding that you're designed that way, don't try to fight it. And you also, I would say one more thing is learning how to give yourself recognition, knowing that you can give it from the inside and not always requiring it from other people, because they can burn people out a little bit because they are just this sponge, and no matter how much praise you give them, there's just always wanting a little bit more.
Sounds great. So the sanguine in control. Once again, thank you, Dr. Amy, and thank you for stopping by.
Thanks, guys. So let's start by looking at the second page of the report, which it breaks down the temperament into inclusion, control, and affection. This person that we're dealing with is a sanguine in all three areas. And you'll notice that the scores on this sheet are in relatively close relation. That means that the sanguine knows what they want, and they also know how to express themselves. Now, if you were with us yesterday when we talked about the melancholy, we noticed that the bars were very low. The sanguine is at the opposite end of the spectrum than the melancholy. So where the melancholy is really an introvert, the sanguine is complete opposite. They're very
So the sanguine is the life of the party.
Yes, they are the life of the party. Absolutely. So they are extroverted by nature. We talked about the melancholy keeps a very small circle of friends.
Right.
The sanguine has 1 million friends, and they want more. So they're the type of person that has never met a stranger. They talk to everybody. It's just very easy for them
I like
to
those
socialize.
people.
Yeah, he is one.
Why?
So they are very relationship oriented. They prefer to deal with people. They actually experience anxiety if they are away from people for too long. So when a sanguine is forced to be alone for a long period of time, listening to the radio, turning the TV on, just having some other voices around is actually very comforting to them.
Sounds like fun.
So they live life at a very fast pace. They are go, go, go. They tend to keep their shoes right by the door, and at a moment's notice, you want to go do this, you want to go do that, they are always ready.
They're not planners.
Yes, they're very spontaneous. They fly by the seat of their pants, and they are always ready to go. So the melancholies look at home as their sanctuary. The sanguines look at home as jail, basically.
So they're always on the go.
Yes.
Life of the party.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are very active. They find inactivity very stressful.
I would think like a sales rep would be a great sanguine.
That would be perfect for them.
Always on the road, always meeting new people,
Yes.
always doing something different.
Absolutely.
All right.
A sanguine would go crazy if they were forced to be an accountant and had to sit in a little cubicle and just had to crunch numbers all day. They would die emotionally.
And once again, I mean, people are on the spectrum on these things, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Just because I've got a little sanguine in me doesn't mean that I won't stop and think things through.
Right, absolutely. So, like I said in the previous videos, that a lot of people are a blend of different temperaments. So, if you were a sanguine in inclusion, but you were a melancholy in control, you're going to have a little groundedness from being the melancholy in control.
Got it.
So these three areas really merge together and shape you. Our personalities are not so compartmentalized as they look on this piece of paper.
So what are some concerns that we would have with the sanguine?
The sanguine really lives in the moment, which can be a good thing, but sometimes they don't learn from previous mistakes.
Okay, that can be challenging.
So they forgive and forget very quickly, and they forget that other temperaments don't operate like that.
Right. Why can't you get over this?
Yeah. So I tell my clients that the sanguine is like a race car. They can pivot on a dime and they can run into something. They can get in an argument. They have issues with anger.
Okay.
They have a very hot temper, but then 5 minutes later, they can't remember what they were mad about. And so they're like this little race car, and they can just pivot and turn, and they can recover very quickly. But if you're dealing with a melancholy, like we were talking about yesterday, they are more like a big freight ship. When they turn, when they are trying to recover from anger, it's a very wide, slow arc. And a lot of times the sanguine and the melancholy end up in relation together because opposites attract. And so the sanguine has to be very careful at remembering that not everybody can handle the temper tantrums or their temper as well as they can.
Wow.
The sanguine also has a fear of rejection, but unlike the melancholy, where the melancholy will isolate themselves when faced with rejection, the sanguine actually goes out and sells themselves to other people. So if they get hurt by a relationship, they're just really like, that's okay. I make friends so easily. I'm just going to go out and replace this relationship.
In one of our earlier videos, we had talked about there are types of temperaments that come for counseling.
Yes.
Sanguine is not one of them.
No, they do. They will come into counseling, and it's usually usually they come in and say, I don't know why people are mad at me.
Okay.
It's usually in response to other people cutting off a relationship with them because they don't tend to always learn from their mistakes. They live in the moment. So yesterday is forgotten and tomorrow might never come. So it's really just what happened today and what's happening in a few minutes is where they live. And so sometimes they repeat their mistakes.
So let's say I'm a melancholy and I'm married to a sanguine. Does it help if I plan things out for them?
Yeah, they can handle planning. They just will get distracted. So it can be frustrating to, if let's say you have the melancholy sanguine dynamic, the melancholy will get very frustrated and think you let me down, you didn't keep your word. And it's really, you change your mind.
Got it. Okay. How do we make this relationship work?
I think understanding each other's temperament, just knowing that one was designed for spontaneity and is very optimistic, and the other one is a little bit more grounded. If each of them learn how to be more flexible and come out of their comfort zone.
So that's sanguine in inclusion. We look forward to seeing you again as we talk about the sanguine in control in our next class.